Hello my friends, in this video I'm gonna tell you what is happening on the ground, on the front lines. We're gonna review front lines themselves, I mean military maps, just bear with me. But also we're gonna discuss those drone videos and not only. And here you can see the name Donetsk. It means that it is the entrance to the Donetsk city itself that was occupied long time ago by pro-Russian forces together with the Russian army and now by Russia directly. Putin put Donetsk in the constitution, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's Russian. Russia controls it, it's Ukraine still temporarily under Russian control. And here you can see some of the Russian forces. A patrol car with the Russian militants, and I'm gonna lower my image right here for us to see more of the video information from the drone itself. Let's go. So we're approaching this monument, and at this spot, here, Russians saw the drone coming, and the guy, a bold move from the Russian soldier, who abandoned his weapon, the only tool which he could use to shut down a Ukrainian drone. But no, it's better to get rid of the weapons, like in this famous Michael Jackson song. And here is UAZ Patriot. It looks like a civilian car, but it has military numbers. Military because they're on a black background. Even some of the electronic warfare is there, but it didn't help. And it went straight to the side of the vehicle. Here I will switch on the music or sound. Yeah, you saw it. So this is the other Russian crew with a radio station, and they saw how the drone was coming. It's not that big drone, I mean after all it's the standard FPV, but it nailed down the vehicle quite hard. A sound of disappointment. And what is interesting here is how good quality this video really is. Maybe it's the fiber optic control drone, maybe not, but really the quality is superb. Even at this low altitude, it's just fantastic. So better and better pictures are coming. You know how Ukraine now operates? It sends a separate drone which is floating somewhere flying, equipped with just standard Starlink antenna and some of the transmitters. It has a big battery, so it may fly for an hour at least, and those drones are being rotated, but they send the constant signal to the other drones operating in specific spots. So fiber optics, yes, they're still in use and you cannot replace them for specific missions, but radio-controlled drones, they're still more in use compared to fiber optics. And I would say with Starlink they're even more reliable, because after all it's very hard to jam the Starlink satellite signal. Well, Russia already does it, but they need several of the trailers of the distortion radars, and Ukraine nails those radars down several times already. I saw all of those videos with those trailers being kaputted, mostly in occupied regions of Ukraine. And here I'm very, very happy that Ukraine may reach that far with standard FPV drones. This is fantastic. It was not possible a year ago. Now Ukraine flies there freely over Donetsk. My friends, just a short reminder for you. Please don't forget to press like to this video just right now while you're watching it, and also subscribe to the channel. We are on the way to reach some number pretty much soon. I hope this year, maybe the next one, we'll see. Anyways, the number is number. Subscriptions, they matter, but it's important, like your attentions, your likes, your sometimes comments. Well, honestly, guys, I do not read comments that much as I used to, because I have thousands of those and I'm not diving deep into them. I'm sorry, but thank you for your attention, for everything, yeah. If you really want to support my job, of course, Patreon is with the link below. You may join membership as usual. And for those guys who support me like that, guys, you're just amazing. Thank you so much for your kind support. It matters a lot. And you are making me going, publishing, filming every day. Thank you, guys. You're just amazing. And let's continue with the video. And do you want more? Of course you want. You like to watch those videos, as I do here. This is 68th Ukrainian Yager Brigade. They operate with the drones. Yeah, I'm playing the role of the Captain Obvious here. Here's the drone, it goes to the car, but the car is very special. Actually, it's not a car, it's a big truck. It is called Zemlyadelие, a special unique system which hasn't been produced that massively in the Russian army, and it is used for remote mining. And also the mining, by the way, depends on what you load there on the top. It's kind of expensive. Russia uses it sometimes. It has a very light armor based on KAMAZ truck, but finding those systems is a good luck for Ukrainian soldiers, and it goes straight to the fuel tank, the most vulnerable part of this entire construction that might cause fire. That is what it did. You see the fire of the truck. It also blocked the local road, yeah, at least partially, and it's on fire. Nice. Zemlyadelие system is being kaputted. Probably it also was kind of far behind the front lines, but it was reachable by Ukrainian FPV drone, and again the quality of the image was fantastic. Kind of the interesting aiming equipment on that FPV drone, maybe some of the new type, I'm not sure, but we'll see. And let's continue. Luftwaffe 422nd, here they use machine vision on their drones. Separate a regiment of unmanned systems. Alright, here we go with the trucks. Yeah, this looks like commercial truck, but inside there could be a military cargo. You never know, but Ukraine does what it does. It hit the commercial trucks as well, especially on the road R280 from Rostov-on-Don to Crimea. Here Russians also saw the drone coming or incoming. This Russian is holding something. What is that? A shovel? Is it a new anti-drone system that Russia is using? Anyways, this is kind of the military truck, maybe, or maybe it's the arm. Looks like a rubbish collection car. Well, anyways, inside there was no one, even though if it is like civilian, just the truck is lost, yeah. But Russians also could potentially use it for some of the transportation, yeah. Rubbish truck, it has a robust construction, so why not? Some of the, oh, this one is military, 100%. Why the drone turned? This is automatic mode or manual? Oh, manual. It says manual. And maybe there were the soldiers in those bushes? Or what? It's very hard to tell why he turned here. Strange. A convoy of the trucks. Oh, yay. They saw the drone incoming and start to roll off the road, you know. And this one also saw the drone, turned, and I think he saved himself. I mean, this driver with this turn. Yeah. So it was just the damage to the aft part with some of the cargo. Maybe it went on fire. More of the trucks, well, this one was hit in the head. Oh, this is the Russian military. This is covering the transport. This top frame was enhanced by AI, for sure. But it did a great job, you know, to show the details. One more convoy. Boom. And some of the trucks stop operation on those. Interesting. Yeah, compilation is good. This one looks promising. A Russian soldier filmed the moment that the Ukrainian FPV drone attacked his comrades who were moving ahead as part of the call. Whoa. Let's look. Yeah, there is the vehicle. It's barely visible where there was the silhouette. Well, they're not screaming, it means they're fine. That's it? Come on. The situation with the Russian supplies continued to deteriorate, and those are a couple of the trucks which went on fire on the road. It was the attack of the Ukrainian drones as usual. So it seems like one vehicle was the air defense, and this is the Ural truck with supplies. And it was filmed from the This guy is like, yep, something had happened. Yeah, this is also a military truck, of course. The 3rd Assault Corps likes to eat Bukhanka vans. Lots of them were spotted on the front lines, and we have the new Bukhanka compilation. Bukhanka Special Edition, like what Bukhanka you like the most? Cabrio, before you saw the masked Bukhanka with a tent, and at the beginning white or gray Bukhanka with no protection, no electronic warfare, but it looks brand new straight from the factory. In Bukhanka's case, new doesn't mean good. One more Bukhanka pickup truck, yeah? Like a variant like that, with a cabin but not fully cabrio, cosplaying Toyota Land Cruiser, which is quite popular among Mali rebels and on Middle East as well, so probably there is the turret. Bukhanka, which is hiding behind another Bukhanka. And just look at the sad face of this Bukhanka. Why did they brought me here? I wanted to stay back in Russia. Some night vision Bukhanka that was abandoned, apparently, because the door was left open. A caravan Bukhanka with a trailer, yeah? Kaboom! No Bukhanka, it vanished. 63rd Separate Motorized Brigade. Well, guys, thank you for Bukhanka compilation, for posting that. It was entertaining. The video should be called like 50 Shadows of Bukhanka or something, and here is the Russian soldier running away. Yeah, Bukhanka is very popular. Very. A Russian truck driver simulator, taking a contract to a wrong area. Yeah, some of the corpses of the previously unlucky fellows out there. Few trucks, usual trucks, they're everywhere, left and right. Ukraine is very serious with middle-range strikes. They're happening for the further distance and with more intensity. Well, at least for the last week, I saw the gradual intensification of those strikes. Alright, now to the military map, so let's start from Rybar. This is the Russian military blogger, but he shows that Ukraine goes on counterattack near Davydov and Ozerne. This is Liman direction. Ukraine definitely is successful there, but at the same time Russia continued the small counteroffensive operations not far away from Nikolaevka. This is Slavyansk and this is Kramatorsk, by the way, and also near Malinivka Russia moved a little. Yeah, this is the zoomed-in image, so Russians, as they say, they were spotted in Nikolaevka or Mykolaievka itself, and expansion of the gray zone is here on the south. This, I believe, is more serious threat for Ukraine compared to this northern Russian advancement. Why? Because here goes the river, you see? It goes straight down to the south from Slavyansk, and near Malinivka and Tikhanovka, Russia has already crossed the river. I'm sorry for the color of those arrows, but on this kind of the military map, it's just better visible. Yeah, compared to this color, yellow is highlighting way better. But anyways, yeah, you see, Russia has advantage in some of the places, but sometimes Ukraine has an advantage, as in Liman direction. So for Russia, it's a difficult part. But before I thought that Russia might occupy Liman at first and only after it go to Slavyansk, gradual advance. But Russia concentrated the forces more in Kramatorsk direction and also south in Konstantinivka. They want to occupy the Iron Belt and they cut supplies for Liman. For them, it's not the main target. I believe that they think that they might occupy Liman faster if needed. The priority for now is Iron Belt. And you know, we also have the confirmation from Majakovsk military map analyst. This is his map, and this is the expansion of the gray area near Tikhanovka. Right, Alexandrovka, for now, he shows that it's in a gray zone, but Russians already put the settlement mostly into the red one. Well, it's not that important because after all, it's all like a big kill zone. 5 kilometers here, or 10, or maybe even sometimes more, and to the other direction as well. But Russia operates with the drones. Moreover, Russia started to hit lots of the bridges in Slavyansk itself, Kramatorsk, and lots of the other smaller towns in this place. If I return back to the Russian statistics, you see how many of the bridges are out there and also how many of those have been targeted by Russians. So those colored with a red symbol, they're being hit by Russia. Aviation gliding bomb strikes. So two of the strikes. Here it was a single strike in Kramatorsk, and Russia already operates their FPV drones in Kramatorsk, and they're very close. So I worry about Kramatorsk more than for Slavyansk, at least right now, for the coming year, I mean, of this war. And I believe that Russia is getting ready for some of the jump during the spring campaign towards this Iron Belt. We'll see if they are successful, but in Slavyansk still there is the obstacle for them to advance. As I mentioned you, a river, kind of the difficult terrain too. But Kramatorsk, there are just defense lines. If they occupy all of those smaller settlements, they will be capable to concentrate smaller groups, accumulate them, and later on advance with bigger forces. And if you look at this map, of course, the Russians show this kind of the advancement, yeah, mostly with a gray zone, but still, yeah, the data is different. What Russians show and what Majakovsk shows. But if Russia goes to Kramatorsk directly, it basically may cut Iron Belt in two. Drushkivka would stay in the south and Slavyansk in the north. I think this is what Russia is doing right now. They want to get to Kramatorsk before occupation of Drushkivka, but also they have the attack vector to Drushkivka from Toretsk. And still the fight is ongoing for Konstantinivka, but I believe that this one will be the main attack vector for the Russian army towards this Iron Belt, especially knowing the fact from locals who live in Kramatorsk that 5 kilometers away from the city there were Russian positions spotted already, and they fly with FPV drones targeting some of the infrastructure of the city. And the city has been gradually demolished by Russian aviation gliding bombs. So speaking about this entire defense, this is the most important direction of the Russian offensive, because here they already crossed the river. And yeah, for the last few days there was mostly movement of the Russian army. You see how many flags they put across the front lines with the small infiltration attacks, and they moved a little bit from Hulai Pole. You see Verkhnya Terasa, Hirke, also in the south here they went to Cherevne and Hulaypilske. Those are the recent advancements of the Russian army, plus they went in kind of the crazy attack from Balko-Spenevska. They went to Oryhiv, they were spotted there, and they caused some of the losses for Ukrainian tanks. Well, Ukrainian tank was just staying there without any crew. Ukraine tried to hide it, but Russians spotted the tank and eliminated it. Yeah, there is additional armor, so Russians had to use lots of the drones. Is it a Soviet-made or Western-made tank? Hard to tell. Those heavy vehicles, they are targets number one for both of the armies. Nevertheless, here it was the infantry attack of the Russian army between Malotokmachka and Oryhiv. And Russians went through the railway? Literally? Is it the railway? Oh yeah, there is the railway over here. So this is the stupidest thing. They went through the railway. Not on a tree line nearby, a railway. So yeah, we may say that this attack was not that successful for Russians. And this attack on the tank is just a separate operation with a drone. It's not connected to this small infiltration. So basically we may cancel that, and everything is usual here in Malotokmachka and Oryhiv. Both of those settlements are under Ukrainian control. Kupiansk direction. Russians, what had happened? Your infiltration attack finished with that one. Well, that's the thriller. Possible location of a Russian soldier jumping out of burning building before getting pew-pewed by Ukrainian soldier in Kupiansk-Vyzlavy, Kharkiv Oblast. Yeah, literally our fireman. Why is he fireman? Because he is on fire. Well, he literally jumped, and this is our guy. Yeah, sometimes I use my own censorship, you see. So I guess it's all I wanted to tell you in this particular video, and if you really want to support my job, please follow me on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or join membership of YouTube channel. Obviously, if you can, you are making my job possible. Thank you so much for that. You're just awesome. Also, don't forget to press like to this video, subscribe to the channel. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.